So first question, what is the purpose of your trip?
Uh, my purpose of this trip is to go to the US to continue my post-secondary education, which I'll be studying at Bethel University in Indiana. And I'll be studying nursing for 4 years, get my bachelor's degree, and come back to my country, Sierra Leone.
And when did you complete your high school?
I completed it yesterday.
You completed high school yesterday?
Yeah, the 25th.
Okay, which means that you applied with your high school transcript, right?
ACT. Yeah, I did it to my ACT because I've once been to the US and I took my ACT there. So I used it to apply to the to Bethel University plus my transcript.
Okay, tell me about your program. I'm trying
Okay,
to take notes, but I'm not able to. I don't know what's going on with my test.
Oh.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, okay. Just go on.
So my program is registered nursing, and it is a life science and also a branch of healthcare that is focused on providing care for people that are unwell and also guiding them towards their journey through health. Did you get that one?
Are you done? And who is sponsoring your studies?
My family, my dad is sponsoring me with $2,750, and my dad is a businessman. He owns a parish printing shop and also a welding shop. And my uncle is the deputy general manager at the Sierra Leone Airport Authority. Mr. Bob Sinkabo will be sponsoring me with $23,000. And my cousin, who is Mr. Usman Barry, will be sponsoring me also with $2,750. And he stays in the US and he's a cable technician.
Did you get any scholarship from the school?
I did. I got a $13,000 scholarship as merit award plus scholarship from Bethel University, which I'll continue to maintain throughout my studies if I continue to have good grades.
Okay, and why do you want to study in the US?
When I went to the US in 2022, I saw and realized how modern the learning system is. And the US is best known for its advancement in technology. Studying in the US will make me become a better nurse and a well-respected one at that, as the degree are well recognized in every part of the world. And the US is also, studying in the US will also help me go through my course both theoretically and practically, which will help me with my dreams in improving the health system in Sierra Leone, my country. And the US is also known for its unique higher secondary education. And also it has the best student-friendly society. Yeah.
What is the name of the school you're going to again?
Bethel University in Indiana.
How did you hear about the school?
So when I was in the United States in 2022, I had friends that were juniors and seniors. So I basically interacted with them, and then I heard from them. And my best friend, who is Maddox, he told me about Bethel and how he wanted to go there. But furthermore, I went to the website and I saw how much it aligns to my pursuit in life. Bethel University is best known for its academics, and it is also a Christian university where students are subjected to attend chapel twice a week. And for the path I have chosen in life to become a nurse, I need knowledge and also connection with God, of which Bethel provides both. Bethel also is located in a smaller state. Hello?
How many schools did you apply to?
So I basically applied to Bethel. I did a complete application to Bethel because the other one was Elbert, but I started it. I didn't finish the application because there was somewhere where they asked for an IELTS exam that I wasn't chanced to take. So I just continued with Bethel.
Okay. And do you know anyone in the US?
Yes, sir. My uncle, my cousin, Mr. Usman Barry, is in Virginia, and also my host family who are residing in Minnesota. The one that I was staying with when I went there in 2022.
Okay, and what are your plans after your studies?
I plan to come back to my country and help improve the health system. Lots of people have lost their loved ones due to a poor health system in Sierra Leone. I am also a victim. I lost my brother when he was 5 months old, We took him to the hospital, and then according to the doctors, they said he has a heart disease, which they could not solve. So they told my mom to take him to Ghana, but before my mom could make the necessary arrangement, my brother passed away. And also, I am an alumni, and I need to come back and help the society.
Okay. And
Yes, sir.
why do you want to study this nursing program? Like, what about the program that makes it attractive to you?
The fact that it is all about saving lives and helping people. That is one thing that got me this strong passion of studying nursing. Helping people is so much fascinating to me, and I really want to be part of the medical field and help. Yes, sir.
So why don't you want to pursue this degree in your country? Because you can actually pursue it in your country.
Yes. But as I said before, the US is best known for its advancement in technology, and I've been there before. I saw how modern, and I also realized it. I've studied there for a year, and I saw how everything works. The place, like the learning system, is more advanced, and studying there would make me a better nurse as I will be going through my nurse both theoretically and practically, and it will help me greatly.
What did you go to do in the US in 2022?
I went there. Sorry. I went there as an exchange student in 2022 to the Kennedy Lugar Youth and Exchange Study Program. It is an exchange program that provides opportunity for kids around the world to travel to the US, exchange their culture and learn theirs, go to school, make memories, and long-last bond.
Okay. So these are the main questions that I have for you. For some reasons, I couldn't keep track of everything because I was trying to write on my iPad, but then I couldn't write it. I don't know what's going on. So then I started taking notes. So I will not be able to give you a comprehensive opinion on everything you said, but just a few things. When you are asked why you want to study in the US, you give a lot of reasons, and all these reasons are more like they are general reasons, like you were talking about, the qualities of studying in the US, and many people have used these same lines and all of that. So why don't you think about the fact that you're going to the US because of the program, right? So it's like you want to study in the US because US education is practical and all of that. So when you talk about those things, why don't you also talk about the fact that the program you are going to study is practical? Like you give an example. So for example, an example I usually give to students is, if I say I want to study in the US because US education provides students with research opportunities. Another thing I can say is that in my program, so let's say economics, okay, the economics program at so and so university provides students with the opportunity to collect data and analyze the data using a real world, like using advanced statistical software, something like that. So it's like you're talking about the general picture, but then you have to be specific about the program, because you're going to the US because of the program, not because of the US, right? So that's something I wanted to take note of. And also, you mentioned you went to the US in 2022, but you never talked about why you went to the US in 2022 until I asked you. So normally, if you can say why you went, because you said it several times without actually telling me why you went to the US. So if you can add everything together, that actually helps a lot.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. And also, when you talk about why you want to ask, why do you want to study nursing? I didn't hear anything about what you're actually coming to learn. You didn't mention any specific thing you're coming to learn.
Yeah.
Do you remember your answer? Like, I didn't hear anything about, let's say I'm coming to the US. I have this example that, I help somebody craft, and it's like the US system is practical, and the fact that there is like a laboratory that mimics a hospital setting.
Yeah.
So that way, students get opportunity to practice what they learn in classroom, in a form of like like a hospital setting. They learn how to take care of wounds and stuff like that. I feel like that is more specific. It kind of tells you exactly what you are going to do. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, I actually added that wherein I said it's also helped me to go through the practical and theoretical aspects of my course, which is nursing. Yeah, I said that.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
That's general. That's something everybody can say. If you say practical, theoretical, like these are general stuff. You're not going into the specifics of what those things are. So like what I tell students is that you start from general. Like the general picture is okay. US education is research based and and very practical and all of that. But then for your program, how no, it's fine. For your program, how what is the practical aspect of your program? So like you can narrow it down to your particular program. That in this program I'm going to learn this and this and that. Does that make sense? And and also when you are asked why do you want to study a program, I usually like to say, look at three things. The first one is your background or your experience, something that has influenced your decision to pursue nursing. You start with that. And then in the middle is more like the skills and the knowledge you are going to learn from the program. Because when the visa officers hear things like technical stuff, technical things you are going to learn from the program, it kind of makes them, see you as a legitimate student. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And then
yes, sir.
It's like you are connecting your experiences or your past, your academic background or your job. Those kind of, you connect them to the program, right? And then once you connect them to the program, the third aspect is to connect what you are going to learn from the program to your future, which is when you return to your home country. That is a good way to answer why do you want to study the program. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense to you, if you understand what I mean.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It does.
Answers, but your answers are too general. Like it's like what everybody says. That's what I'm saying. Like your answers are based on what everybody says. You understand what I mean?
Okay.
And,
yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
if you are struggling to come up with your own answers, like specific answers, you can go on the school's website. When you go to the school's website, you are going to see certain things on the school's page, which talks about maybe why the school is different from other schools. Every school will tell you something that is different compared to, so you can pick those ideas. When you go to the nursing programs page, the program will tell you after you learn this program, or at the end of your 4 years, you are going to learn how to do this, that kind of thing. So those are the specific skills you are going to learn from the program. You understand what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that is what I have to say. There are other questions I asked you. You have an uncle. It's not a big deal if you have an uncle in the US. Okay, I think I remember something else too about your funding. Who is sponsoring you? Your funding doesn't really look good to me because you said your dad is sponsoring. Your parents are sponsoring with $2,000. $2,000 to the visa officer is not anything. Like it's not really significant. And then you said your cousin is sponsoring you with 3,700. That is also not significant. Yeah, go on. You want to say something?
Yeah, and I have my uncle also, who is I don't know if you had that one. He's the deputy general manager, and he's sponsoring me with like the bigger fund, which is $23,000.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. But the thing is that when you are being sponsored by your uncle, why would your uncle want to sponsor you? Does your uncle have any kids?
He has 2 kids. The one is already the one is done with school and is married, so he's not a responsibility anymore. And has a little one who is in nursing school.
So your uncle has somebody in nursing school. Where is that?
No, nursing too. No, he's in nursing
too.
Kindergarten, yes.
Okay. So my question will be, how come your uncle has one child who is already married, and the second child is in nursery? Like that gap, it's like maybe 30 years difference. How come? Why is that?
So like the first son and the second son, it's not the same mother. So the first one has his own mother, but they ended things. So now, and then he remarried again. and he gave birth to with the new wife, and then he got the little one, the little son.
Yeah, I mean, if it's possible to, if you are asked, whether he has kids, if you can give all this information at once, I think that would be more helpful, because the visa officer will just conclude that, okay, this doesn't make sense, and then we'll just say, okay, you are lying or something. You understand what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I don't like people being sponsored by uncles, because you especially, you're going to do a 4-year program. So if your uncle is sponsoring you with that much every year, that's for 4 years. That's a lot of money. To the visa officer, this will not really make a lot of sense. Do you understand my point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But if it was your parents, then the visa officer can understand that, okay, if your parents are sponsoring you with that much, then that's fine. But if it's your uncle, why will you be spending over $20,000 on you every year? That's like over $80,000 every year for the 4-year
For the 4
program.
years.
So that will that really, if you were the visa officer, will this actually make sense to you?
Well, because I'm gonna be honest with you, my uncle is actually capable of doing that.
Okay, it's one thing being truthful; it's another thing being believable, right? So the visa officer will find it difficult to believe that your uncle, even if he's capable, is still willing to do that.
Yeah, he is. And I also, yes, sir. And I also have his like an estimate of how much he makes. Like, because for them, as he's the deputy general manager at the Sierra Leone Airport Authority, they have like something, and everything is there that shows that he's actually able to pay that sum, and he's willing actually.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's difficult for me to believe that he's willing to do it, even if he has the funds. It's just difficult for me. And for me, what I would say is that your cousin who is sponsoring you with 2,700, it's better you don't even mention it, because that's not significant. Your parents who are sponsoring you with $2,000, I don't think that is significant. So you should probably talk about your scholarship, and then your uncle who is sponsoring you, like, you have to talk about what he does and how much he earns. Like, you didn't talk about all of those things. So if you can probably, I don't know, that's what I think. Because those other funds, if you had the two together, it's not even up to $5,000. The cousin and your parents. So yeah, this is what I'm thinking. You can just stick to your uncle, and then even though I know that your uncle sponsoring you too, it's also difficult for the visa officers to believe. So that's the thing. Normally, if you had like maybe 50% scholarship, and then your uncle is sponsoring you with the other 50%, that can help. But what you have is way less than 50%, and so if your uncle is sponsoring you with the rest, then it's like a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So if you want to think about it, so my main comments are the fact that first of all, your sponsorship, the person sponsoring you, it's the main person is your uncle, which is probably not too helpful. And the other thing is all the other answers to, you were too general. There wasn't anything about you in particular. It was like answers that anybody can give when they are asked, even if they are going to do a different program, they can give the same answers. That's what I am thinking. So if it is possible to talk about the specific skills you are going to learn from the program, okay, that is helpful. Than talk about general things. The nursing program is practical, and is that those ones you start with those ones, but then you have to talk about exactly what you are going to learn from the program. Does that make sense? And if you don't know, go to your school's website. You see something like learning outcomes or program outcomes, where the school will tell you at the end of your 4 years, you will learn how to treat wounds. You learn how to do first aid. Those things. The school will tell you exactly what those things are. So then you pick those things and say you want to learn. You are going to that program to learn how to do those things, so that when you come home, you'll be able to apply those things or something. That kind of thing. So that's what I have to tell you. If you have any question, you can ask me. And
okay, and also yes, sir, on the I-20. So the Well, first of all, when I submitted the affidavit of support, so it was $8,750 that was indicated here for my parents to sponsor me. But when the I-20 came out, it was only they indicated here 2,750, and they added 8,000 earning from school employment. That was how the thing drastically went down.
School employment.
Yes, it is on the I-20.
So which means your uncle is not on the I-20.
My uncle is on the I-20 also. My mom is my parents are there from personal savings. The school employments, my uncle, my cousin, there 4 of them are there, like all 4.
Okay, so what is your cost of attendance?
$49,000.
No, cost of attendance is like all your expenses in a year. It's on the left
Yes,
side.
everything is 49,000.
49, okay. So 49, and
Yeah.
then the school says there is unemployment of what, 30,000?
8,000 and annually 8,000. Yes.
From employment, right?
Yes, sir.
So your parents on the I-20 are sponsoring you with how much?
2,750.
Okay.
Same goes for my cousin also. 23,000.
Okay.
And my cousin is 22,750 also.
Okay.
So that is why I'm thinking if it won't affect me, because on the affidavit of support it stated 8,750 for my parents. But on the I-20 it goes like 2,750, and they added employment from college,
from the school,
working.
Yeah.
Yes.
But how much?
So I
how
didn't
much
mention
can
it.
your parents?
Yeah.
How much can your parents support you with? Is it the 8,000 that they have? Can your parents support you with 8,000?
Yes. Yes, that is
then
the initial plan before
that.
the I-20 came out. Yes. Yes, sir.
Then it doesn't matter what is on the I-20. Just when you go, present what your parents are sponsoring you with, and then what your uncle is sponsoring you with, and then you can take out what your cousin in the US is sponsoring you with 2,000, right? 2,700.
Yes, sir.
So you can,
Yes, sir.
I think you can take that one out and then just stick to your scholarship, your parents, and then your uncle. This is what I think.
Okay, sir. So
but
in
for
terms
your
of my
parents, don't go with the 2,000,
yeah.
go with the 8,000, because that's what your parent can actually support you with.
Yes, and it's on the affidavit just in case if they need like an additional proof.
Having the affidavits is good, yeah.
Yes, sir. So concerning the school employments, because for the officers they are not expecting us to work. Would that affect me in some other ways?
No, the school employments, there is really nothing wrong with working on campus. So it's like there are 2 categories of employment. One is on campus and one is off campus. On campus work doesn't affect you. You are actually allowed to work on campus. But when you are going for the interview, just don't talk about the on campus funds. Just ignore it and stick to the one that is from your family and the scholarship. Does that make sense? Even though on campus, funds are there, but it's like you have to work to get it. I will not talk about on campus employment, even though the visa officer will see there is nothing wrong with that. Does that make sense? There is nothing wrong with on-campus employment.
So, yeah, I don't know if you remember me telling you that I am from Sierra Leone and I'm going to Guinea. So just in case if the visa interview asks me why am I doing the interview in Guinea instead of in Sierra Leone, so I'm going to say the absolute truth here. I never had plans to go to Guinea. I've never been to Guinea. But before, when I went to the website and the available date was September 10th, but before going for that date and applying for an expedited date, I told my counselor, Mr. Mark Steven from Bethel, because he has been helping me throughout the process. And then he mentioned, because I think they've been doing it, and then he said, let me go to Guinea. Guinea is like, since it's our neighboring country and they have lots of open dates. So that was how the Guinea thing came across. And I'm currently in Guinea now.
Okay. Yeah, I generally don't recommend students going to other countries, but you're already there and there are people who are approved, right? So if you're asked, you can just be honest that you actually wanted to have your interview in your home country, but then you didn't get any dates, and so that's why you decide to come to Guinea. You know, it doesn't go against students all the time. Once in a while, I mean, but I think you should be fine. You should be fine with that. Hopefully, it doesn't. It goes against some people sometimes, but I think it depends on the visa officer. This one depends on who is going to interview you. I think so, because some go to other countries and they are approved. Some go to other countries and they are denied. So you just have to go with the belief that. Yeah, you just have to go with the belief that you'll be approved and that it shouldn't go against you. If it comes up and they ask you, be honest with in your answer, just tell them why you decided to go to Guinea.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. And sorry. So my interview is actually at 9 a.m. On Friday. So like at what time would you suggest I go there? Should I be like 1 hour early or?
Yeah, probably 2 hours early. Probably 2 hours early. You try to get there 2 hours early just in case, just in case of traffic or anything. Just try to be there 2 hours early.
Okay, sir. And another question, sir, again. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So I have this friend of mine. We actually went on the same program in 2022, but when we came back, he did his own thing and then he went again. He used his own SAT and traveled, like to study. He told me.
Okay.
So I need to no matter what the case, I like the first question. Any first one that is being asked, I need to make sure I input the fact that I'm going to the US once so that the visa officer will know that Is that?
Yes. I think I should have highlighted that to you. That the fact that you moved to the US and you have returned to your home country gives you a big advantage. Hello? I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that the fact that you've been to the US and you have returned to your home country is a big advantage to you. And so when they ask you why do you want to study in the US, the example what you said is actually correct, but it was too general. So you can start with that and try to narrow it down to the program itself, how good the program is, or what you have read about the program based on your research. But you should always, if possible, always start with the fact that you were in the US on an exchange program and you realize that the US education is practical and gives students the opportunity, for research and all of that. And so when this school was recommended to you, did your research, you realize that the program is going to teach you how to, I don't know, stuff about nursing, that kind of thing. And so that was why you decided to go to that school. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's always a good thing if you've been to the US and you've returned to your home country, because it shows your ties. It helps with your finances as well.
Okay. So can I also, in terms of hearing they said you have relatives, I can mention my host families, right?
Yeah, the host family is not. It's not real. They are not really your relatives, so you don't have to talk about them. They are not your relatives, right? So just if they ask you, do you know anyone in the US? You have a cousin, right? You say you have a cousin, right?
Yes. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So just see the cousin. Just only the cousin should be okay. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah, just the cousin is fine. Yeah, you don't have to. The host, I mean, they are not really your family, so don't just mention too many people that you know in the country. Yeah. So that's what I can say.
Sir. Okay, sir. But
so that's what we have, right?
I know, so I just need to improve in terms of answering the question. But what do you think about my confidence and the way am I stumbling or am I okay? I just need to improve.
I think you were fine in my opinion. In my opinion, I think you were fine with the way you were. The only thing is that you just have to work on your answers, because the answer that you had, you were able to provide it the way, I mean, normally it should be provided. The only thing is just work on your answers. Try to make it about yourself, make it more personal. That's what I'm trying to say. Your answers, and also your finances, like we've said. Ignore the 2,700 from your cousin. That is not significant. It doesn't really make any sense to me, because it's not it's significant enough to just stick to your parents' funds, which is 8,000 plus. and then your uncle, and then the scholarship. Those three things, that is what you should stick to. Okay.
Yeah. Should in case that because I've heard that when they said when you go in front of the visa officer, they will only ask you for your I-20 and the passport. Regardless, I have all of them. So let's say, but on the I-20, it's been stated that my family, from their personal saving, they will be providing me with 2,750. And I go there and say they are sponsoring me with 8,750. Should I give them the affidavit as further proof or their bank statement, or should I wait for them to ask?
90% of the time, the visa officer is not interested in your documents. 90% of the time. So it's all about how you explain yourself. So when they ask you who is sponsoring you, you can start by saying, my parents will be sponsoring me with, then you can mention the amount, and then you can say who your parents, the kind of job they do, or if you want, because you have several people you are talking about, you are going to talk about, you can say your parents are sponsoring you with 8,000, whatever. Your uncle is also sponsoring you with, then you mention the amount, and you also have a scholarship of, then you mention the amount. Then if you are allowed to, then you can mention the other details, because I don't want you to mention your parents are sponsoring you with 8,000 and then dwell on that for too long when you have other, so that the visa officer knows, okay, there are other people, that kind of thing. Does that make sense? So
yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so just mention all the source of your funds, and then you can explain in detail what each of them does. So your parents, what they do, and your uncle, that kind of. That's what I think. Because starting with your parents is helpful. It's always helpful to start with your parents. So start with your parents, and then subtract the scholarship, and then how much your parents are sponsoring you from the cost of attendance. The remaining amount is what your uncle will be sponsoring you with, which should probably be less than 20,000, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It should be about 15,000 or so.
Yeah.
Right. So then you mentioned that one. With 15,000, it makes a lot more sense that your uncle is sponsoring you. 15,000 is a reasonable amount, so that can help.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. But should in case the visa officer asks, like to do relation between let me just provide the affidavit so that he can do the relation and understand the fault is not for me, the I-20.
No, don't worry about that one. Whatever you say is fine. Just say what your finances are. Talk about it. Okay, if the visa officer wants the document. So if you want, okay, you can, after you've mentioned who the people who are sponsoring you can say, I have the affidavit of support or with me, something like that. So if the visa officer is interested, he or she can ask for it. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Don't give it to them. Just say you have it. That's it.
Okay. And
because you don't have
the main reason, okay, sir. And considering my cousin sponsoring me, well, the main thing is not like he's paying out of his own money, but he's like paying my dad in installments. So my dad sold him a land, and then they decided, instead of him giving him the money, since he's in the US, let him like directly pay as installment for the 4 years of my studies.
So can you tell me what your
okay? So in that case, what I can say, this one depends on how clear you are, how you are able to express yourself. So when you add that 2,700 to the 8,000 plus that your dad is sponsoring you with, how much would that be?
Yeah,
that would be about, let's say, 11,000, right?
Yes, sir.
So I think you should rather say your dad is sponsoring you with $11,000, right? And stick to that and say what your dad does. Don't even mention your cousin or whatever. But then when you are asked for, for some reasons, which is not likely, but if the visa officer asks for the affidavit of support, then you show him what you have from your parents, and also then you bring in the details about your cousin. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. It does.
You will appear more like you will appear as somebody whose parents can actually support him. So mention the 11,000. Don't give details. Just say that's how much your parents are sponsoring with and what they do, and then add your uncle and then the scholarship. if the visa officer wants to know what your parents do, or if the visa officer says he or she wants to see the affidavit of support, then you can give it to him or her and then add the details about your cousin. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay,
That's
sir.
what
Okay, sir. Thank you,
recommend.
sir.
Yeah, no problem. So I wish you the
if
best. I wish
okay,
I'd actually,
it's okay.
I wish I'd seen your answers before this interview so that I can actually see them very well. But I don't have your answers, so because of that,
Yeah.
so it's fine. Just work on them.
Yeah, considering that, I
I
have
can
them.
see
I have them
that
because what I did
you
was
got
I went
a
on your
scholarship.
page, on your
How did you
YouTube
get
videos.
That's true.
Pardon?
Madam Iphone, if you can, no, not you. Some people are talking, and I want them to use their microphones.
I've been to the one.
Okay. And considering
GPS.
that, so I went I watched your YouTube videos where you highlighted some questions that someone should expect when going for an interview.
Yeah.
So I watched those videos, I took out some questions and then I answered them. Like, I don't know if you're okay with that for me to send it to you through WhatsApp and then you can go through them and I also try to add what you've told me, like my lapses, so it can be more organized and you can look through them. I don't know what you think about that.
I cannot guarantee that I'll be able to go through them because I've already spent almost 15 minutes on you only. So I cannot say I'll be able to because I have a lot of things that I have to take care of and all of that.
Yeah,
So,
okay. That's
yeah, we'll see about that one. Let me see. There were two other people who were not able, who I chose you ahead of. So I don't know if they are here. One is Pearl and the other one is Zachary.
Yeah, Pearl, I'm here.
Yeah, okay,
I'm
Pearl,
I'm here.
You are next.
Okay.
All right, so Pearl.
Excellent.
All right, so John, I wish you
thank
the
you
best.
very much, sir. Yeah, thank you very much,
no
sir.
problem. All right, take care. All right, Pearl. I don't have your answers, and so I might miss some few things, but I'll try to remember what to say and tell you what I think about your answers. Okay. So let's start, right?
Okay.
So who is sponsoring you?
So
no. Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
hello, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so my cost of attendance is $36,203, and I have a partial tuition waiver of $2,520, and the rest is being sponsored by my cousin, who is a medical doctor in the US. He earns about $300,000 per year, and the reason why he's sponsoring my education is that he's building a hospital here in Ghana, and he wants me to. So the course is an MBA. So he wants me to get further understanding into the business management aspects to help him with the management of his hospital administration.
Okay. Tell me about the MBA program.
Okay, so the MBA program is a 2-year program at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and it's a 30 credit hour program consisting of 10 courses. It's an upgrade for me. It's an upgrade for me academically and then professionally. So I basically have an undergraduate in management studies, and then moved on from there to the corporate field where I've been for the past 7 years. And so this MBA would give me a deeper understanding into the business management practices and also the required skills for me to take up leadership roles when I return to Ghana from the US after my studies.
Okay. And what exactly will you learn from the MBA program? What are the kind of skills you hope to learn from the program?
So I will be learning decision making. That's the most important, decision making in solving the everyday problems in the business field. Also, I will be getting marketing skills out of it, and then how to use organizational behavior to manage employees in the business field.
And why do you think that school is the best school for you to have your MBA?
So I chose, apart from it being a high rank school, the reason why I chose a school specifically is because of the kind of MBA program they have. So their MBA is designed that when you're on the program, they give you the opportunity to select and then specialize in an area of your interest. And so after school, you do not only come out with an MBA, your MBA certificates doubles as a graduate certificate. And it's something that I was looking for. This puts me above, when I return to Ghana, it puts me above everyone else. It differentiates me from the rest. And it will give me
And what do you hope to specialize in? You mentioned specialization, which is something
Yes.
that made you decide to go
Yes.
to that. So what will you be specializing in?
So I'll be specializing in entrepreneurship. So it will give me the innovate. It would, as part of it, I will learn how to be innovative through that program, and so I'll be able to bring on board new ideas for the growth of an organization. Again, as part of my long-term career plan, I would want to venture into entrepreneurship, specifically into property rentals here in Ghana. So the entrepreneurship skills would help me to effectively build up a business from the ground up and see it to
How did you hear about the
and
school?
see. So I did
How did you hear
my
about the school?
research. So I did my research online and then came across it. And their MBA was what actually drew me to the school.
Okay. Is that all?
Yes.
Okay. So what about the MBA program that drew you to it? I know you've said it before, but I'm trying to tell you that if you are telling me you did your research and then you came across the MBA program and that drew you to the school, why don't you talk about exactly what those skills are? What the MBA program is about. That because that is that would be a more
Hello.
complete answer than just.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Oh no. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. The network is coming from.
Boyan, can you hear Shaibu?
Hello.
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Okay, then it's Akosia's
We
side.
can hear you.
Akosia,
We can
we
hear
can't hear
you.
you. Oh, okay, thank you. Akosia, yeah, Akosia is gone. The network. Oh man, I have a few things to say to it too. What about the guy, Zachary? Is Zachary here?
So
Okay, Zachary is not
sorry,
here.
I'm back. So
Okay,
sorry, my
Akosia is gone.
network.
Okay, fine. Okay, so my next question will be,
Yeah.
my next question will be, did you get any scholarship?
I didn't exactly get a scholarship, but I got a partial tuition waiver of
2,500, right? I
2,000.
think you mentioned 2,000.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. And have you traveled outside Ghana before?
Yes, I have. I traveled to Barbados for visit.
Okay. Who do you know in Barbados?
So my sister works there as a nurse.
Okay. And do you know anyone in the US?
Yes, my cousin who is sponsoring me, he's a medical doctor in the US.
Okay. How are you related to him? Like your cousin? So,
Maternal.
how do you explain that? Maternal cousin. Okay.
Maternal, yeah, yes.
Okay. And what are your plans after your studies?
So my plan after my studies is to come down, return to my home country, Ghana, and come and join his hospital here. He's building a hospital here in Ghana. It's the reason why he's sponsoring me, so that I come and be the hospital administrator.
Okay. And Okay, so I should probably give you my comments because there's, I don't know, some kind of inconsistency in what you said. When I asked
Okay.
you what do you want to specialize in, you said you want to specialize in entrepreneurship, right? And
Yes.
you said you want to learn skills which will help you when you return to be able to be ahead of the competition and be able to work in any organization. You know, like you say you want to
I,
go into property
no,
rentals.
no, I didn't say into any organization. Said the skills will give
Okay.
me, so it will give me the skills to be able to take up leadership role when I return to my.
Mm,
So I used leadership role, and I didn't
okay.
exactly
When
say
when
organizations.
you return to what? When you return to what? Because what I can
Ghana.
tell you, okay, what I can tell you 100% is that
Mm,
you didn't mention the hospital, because if somebody is sponsoring you
okay.
and he plans to establish a hospital, why don't you always remember that when you're coming to Ghana, you're actually coming to, in your last answer you actually mentioned it, but when I asked you what
Mm,
will you be specializing in, you didn't say that. So it's like,
okay.
what I is it the visual also be thinking, are you lying? Is it really true that your cousin is
Mm,
trying to set up a hospital that you
okay.
are coming to? Because you remember you mentioned property rentals, that is something you want to go into,
Yes.
that remember. So
As my long-term career plan, I mentioned. So after I'm assuming the role here, my long-term career plan, I would want to venture into entrepreneurship. So I use the term innovation. So innovation, it
okay.
could be anywhere in the business field. So I could be in the hospital as hospital administrator and be innovative, have the innovation skills. Okay. So as part of
Okay.
my long-term career plan, I'd want to venture into entrepreneurship, specifically property rentals. And yeah,
Okay.
so yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you want to be believable, you have to stick
Okay.
to that. That the fact that you are coming to Ghana to use your MBA
Okay.
to help with the hospital and all of that.
Okay.
And so, where will the hospital be established? Which part of Ghana?
Pram
And
pram.
what has been done so far? Pampram, and what has
Pram
been done
pram.
so far?
Yes. So it's still
Has
in
he
the
started?
construction stage.
Okay, so it will be done in 2 years when you are done with your program.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Um. Okay. I mean, the fact that you are from a management field and you have 7 years in a corporate field, all these things actually help. Okay, like you have a good background and all of that. So when you are asked why do you want to study the program, you should probably talk about your experience and then connect it to what you are going to learn from the program, and then connect that again
Okay.
to your plans after your studies. I think that makes a lot more sense. And
Okay.
has your cousin been to Ghana before?
Yes. Yes, he has.
When? When? Tell me more about that.
And so December he was in Ghana. He was in Ghana to
If you
check
say
his
December, if you
projects.
say December, if you say
In
December, you not
December?
saying December. December what? When?
Sorry,
2023 or what?
2023. Sorry, 2023 December.
2023. So before
Yes.
before
Yes.
that, when again was he in Ghana? Before that, when did he come to Ghana?
Before that, he was also in Ghana. In January 2023, he was in Ghana.
So because I'm asking this because the visa officer will be wondering, when did he make that decision to establish the hospital? Maybe he came to Ghana, he saw something going on wrong or something, and he wanted to help out with like with the hospital or something. So like that's why I'm asking you all of this, because you should be
Okay,
aware of all these little details.
okay, okay, okay,
Yeah, and the other thing is, the other thing is, I mean, I know MBA programs, they don't give scholarship. Like they don't always give scholarship. Like if you're lucky, you can get
mm,
like maybe more than 50%, but not most of the time you don't get that. Most of the time,
mm,
so it's when you're going to that MBA, you don't have funding. Sometimes it can be considered, even though it's not easy.
mm.
So hmm, yeah, I don't know about your finances. I don't know how that works out because it's your cousin, that kind of thing. If they were your
Yes,
parents, I'll be like, oh, your parents is straightforward. But if it's your cousin,
mm-hmm.
anybody can pick anybody and say this person is my cousin. you know, that kind of thing. It's very easy.
Yeah, I
Or
know.
and just get a bank statement from somewhere and say this person is my uncle. You know, it's very easy to do.
No,
So
but you
it's
see,
also
there's
about
a
how you.
reason why he's sponsoring me too. So he's not just
Yeah,
sponsoring me
that
because
is
I'm
where.
the cousin.
Yeah, but then the visa also will be thinking, okay, if the cousin really wants somebody to manage the business, can they hire somebody? Why would they have to spend so much for you to go to the US to study just to come back and then, you know, and it's not like you are a doctor or something. You are just coming, you are just a business person. So, you know, like if you were coming to do like a nursing program, then you'll be like, okay, maybe then you'll be absorbed in the hospital or something. But this one, you're coming to do business. So then the visa also will be thinking, you know, but most of the time, it's also how you sound, you know, like how clear you are, how convincing you are, how you are able to maintain eye contact and all of that. So all these things actually, you know, make a difference in terms of whether you will be believed or not, you know. So that your cousin in the
Okay.
US, what documents are you using? Is it like bank statements or what?
Yes, I'm using a bank statement and also sponsorship letter.
Okay, the sponsorship letter when it's from an individual, I don't really know if it makes any difference because an individual is just anybody can write a letter and, you know, give to somebody. So that one I don't know, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like um these are the things that I want to say. Like, you have to be consistent with whatever you're coming back to do in Ghana, and always whatever you're
Okay.
coming to do has to link to why you are going to the US, and also you have to be clear on the skill. I mean, I think that the skills you are going to learn, if I remember, I think you mentioned the skills you are going to learn, and you were clear enough with those things. I think you mentioned leadership and all of that. I think so. Those ones are good, and also you've traveled to Barbados, which is also a good thing, I think. So yeah. So and also you have a good background, which is management, and you know you've worked in the corporate field. So like, tell me about your job. What do you do?
Okay, so
You don't have to mention the name of the
I'm an
company.
operations. Okay, so I'm an operations officer at ABCD.
Okay.
Okay, and I've been there since 2021 till now. I'm still there. January 2021, I'm still there. And as part of my duties, I monitor the cost of operations to enable us maintain or increase in our profits margins. I analyze
You say
operational data.
you monitor what? You monitor what?
I monitor the cost of operations
Okay.
to
Yeah, go on.
enable us know whether we are making profits or we are, I mean, maintaining our profits. Also, I analyze data and keep all our operational data for good decision making in the future. Again, I help in keeping a good relationship between the company's clients, suppliers, and vendors. I also report to the operations manager on the progress of our projects and also any duty that is assigned to me from time to time by him, I execute them.
Isn't your main duty related to data analysis, because that's what you started with and all of that, and so I don't know, isn't that more like somebody who is supposed to come to the US to do data analysis? So what I'm trying to say is that
No.
why try to be clear with your responsibilities, because it sounded to me like somebody who is into, you know, like data analysis. That's what I felt from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So try
operations
to define your roles.
so being in the operations department is kind of broad. So you'd monitor your projects, you to know whether you're making profits or you're maintaining your profits. You also make sure that the project you are doing, I mean, it's in line with what's so we are into construction. So you make sure that whatever the client wants, I mean, you've done. You go on site and then do inspection. Make sure that whatever the client wants has been done. Okay, so yeah, so it's operations. The day-to-day activities of the company, yes, you take care of them.
Yeah, so I think you should stick to that aspect where you kind of supervise things, oversee things and that kind of, because that is more business than what you said at the beginning. Because
Okay.
what you said at the beginning sounded to me as data analysis, like you use data to, I don't know, maybe, yeah. So I'm just thinking maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I thought about it. I don't know
That's how
what somebody in operations does, but yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so I think she just. I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you why the US. Why do you want to do it in the US? I don't think I
Okay,
asked you that.
so
Why
no,
US?
you didn't ask. You didn't ask. So I chose to study in the US because I mean, apart from it being I mean, one of the countries with the best educational systems in the world. The most important reason why I chose US again is because of the MBA program I found at IUP. It's something unique, something that I didn't see here in Ghana with all the best universities here that offer MBA in Ghana. I mean, there is no university in Ghana that has an MBA that doubles as a graduate degree. We do not have that here. So I found that at IUP and then made me, choose the US to be my study destination because it really aligns with my career goals.
Okay. Yeah. The answer can actually be more straightforward than you made it seem, because your main reason is because your main reason is because the MBA program will also give you a graduate degree, and that is not something that is offered in Ghana, and that is why you decided to study the MBA in the US. That can actually be much shorter and much more straightforward than you made it seem. Yeah. So yeah, I think you'll be fine. The only thing is the finance system, if you can actually, because right now the most difficult thing about the visa interview is the finances. If you can justify, and you having somebody who is not a close relative, it's not like a parent or brother or so it's kind of difficult for the visa officer to, for some visa officers to believe that your cousin is going to sponsor you with all of that just because you're coming back to, manage his hospital. So that's something you have to try to sound more believable. If you sound more believable to yourself, I think the visa officers are also likely going to believe what you tell them. So that's something you should work on your finances. It's the main thing, I think. Yeah, and also don't deviate. Stick to why you're coming to Ghana, what you're coming to Ghana to do. And every answer that you give, always remember three things I tell students. One is the fact that you have your degree in management, and you've been working in the as a man, you've been working in the management field for the past 7 years. So that is who you are. So you can always start with that and connect it to what you are going to learn from the program, which includes maybe leadership and how to be strategic and stuff like that. So those are the things you are going. So then you connect it to that, and then you connect it to the third part, which is your ties after the program. The program is going to help you do this and that and that. So you connect to those three things. Always, if you remember these three things, I think you will be fine. Okay. So that's what I have to say. And I think by the time you go for your interview, I think you would have been fine, hopefully. Just your finances, you have to try to make it a believable story, because this is very using a cousin is not always easy. Yeah. So and also when you are explaining your finances, I almost forgot. Don't talk about the 2,500. It's not relevant. Forget about that, because this is something that will be on the I-20. The visa officer will see it. So there is no, it's too small. Yeah. Always talk about if your scholarship is not more than 50% or maybe more than 40%, you probably don't have to dwell on that. You can add that as the last thing if you have time, if you are given opportunity to talk about that. But mainly stick to your sponsor, who is because that is where most of them funds are coming from. So stick to that one.
Okay.
That's what I would suggest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I have for you. If you have any question, and I wish you and John the best. Okay. If you have any question,
Thank you
ask.
so much.
Yeah. No
For
problem.
now, I do not have any question.
Okay. And I guess we'll end it here. And somebody asks a question. Let me just try to
Okay.
see if
Okay.
I can answer a few things on the chat. Brian says he says he sent me his transcript. You cannot just send me your transcript if I've not asked you to send me your transcript. That's not how it works. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen your message, but you have to ask the person if he can do it, if he has the time before you go ahead and send it. That's how it is. You have a deficit of
Oh no, sir.
22,000. You
Hello,
don't tell
sir.
me. Yeah. Yeah, I think I
I
yeah.
said
Let me
I'm the one.
Did you send me a message? Did you ask me for permission to send me your transcript? Did I ask you to send it to me?
No, like I said, I'm the one chatting. He said if you can review my transcript for me, and he said you don't have time, but you may do it a mock session today. If time, then you can
Oh, okay.
interview
Yeah, I
me.
think I remember. I said okay. Okay, fine. Let me ask you a few questions. Tell me about your program.
Study business administration and management at the University of North Carolina. It's a 4 years bachelor degree, and some of the courses it's a 120 credit hours, and some of the courses I'll be taking during my year are introduction of business management, principles of marketing, human resources,
Why do you need the
which I'm
program?
eager.
Why do you need this program?
After completing
Why do
my
you
high school and due to my after completing my high school, due to my interest in business administration and management, I work in control in my father's company, that's Ebenezer Clothing Company. And working in there has given much more experience on how to interact with customers, managing inventory, and event planning, which are essential foundation of pursuing this bachelor degree in business administration and management at the University of North Carolina, and drive into essential business principles such as marketing, finance, human resources, which I'm eager to deeper into. My aim is to acquire practical skills such as strategic planning, financial management, leadership, marketing, to take up a managerial role in a Ebenezer Clothing Company where I oversee details activity to make sure business goals are met effectively. And additionally, I also deeply committed to give back to my community by enhancing vocational study with the help of my father's company that will bring opportunity within my community and also
Who
move the
is sponsoring your
company
studies?
into
Who is sponsoring your
my
studies?
father. My father, Ebenezer Justice Atta, is the proud sponsor of my education. He is the CEO and the founder of Ebenezer Clothing Company, which operates in three major cities in Ghana. That's Cape Coast, Accra, and Kumasi. One of his notable achievements is being the sole designer and the producer of school uniform for government-owned school in Western Region and Greater Accra Region. In addition to his successful business, my father earns annual average of 80,000 US dollars. And one of his notable achievements is having a track record of sponsoring educational pursuit in our family, having founded my sister, Agnes Arthur, to do her master's degree in textiles and design in Denmark. And since she has excelled in her education, she returned back to Ghana to hold a position as the operational head in our family businesses. And her experience and practical way has inspired me to embark on my journey to do a bachelor degree in business administration at the University of North Carolina
When did
in
you
Pembroke.
complete your high school? When did you complete your high school?
I completed my high school in 2021.
Okay, and since then you've been working in your father's company, right? That's what you said,
Yes,
right?
yes, please.
And
Due
what
to my
have been
interest to continue,
okay?
due to my interest to continue after his legacy, I take opportunity to work in control, and working in there has given much more experience on how to interact with customers, managing inventory, and marketing, which are essential foundation of pursuing this bachelor degree to drive into essential business principle. Like as I mentioned earlier, finance, human resources, and marketing that will equip me with the strategic planning, marketing, financial management,
And
and leadership.
why do you want to study this program in the US?
Okay, I want to study business administration and management in the US because US is a home to top tier business schools that offer state-art facilities, and access to cutting-edge technology. This ensures that students are not only learning theoretical concepts, but also applying them through practical and real-world experience. And this program in the US also offer internship and partnership with the leading global company like Amazon, Nike, Adidas, that provide invaluable hand-on experience and network opportunity.
Okay. And what are your plans after your studies?
Upon successful completion of my bachelor degree in business administration, my aim is to return back to the Ebenezer Clothing Company to apply the comprehensive skills such as strategic planning, financial management, leadership, and marketing to take up a managerial role as a marketing manager where I will develop strategic to promote business products and also analysis market trend to reach a target to the audience that will make business objective, achieve its objective, and additionally also give back to my community with the help of my father's business to enhance his vocational study that will bring opportunity within my community.
Okay. How do you hear about the school?
I learned about the school during an educational seminar organized by the US Education on 31st April 2023 at the University of Education, Winneba. And during this event, I had opportunity to meet the distinguished official of University of North Carolina and Pembroke, and their insight and presentation about the school program and opportunity left lasting interest on me and further fueled my interest to pursue my education there. The seminar also providing valuable information about the institution, academic, the diverse community, the supportive learning environment that will form my decision to pursue my undergraduate program at the University of North Carolina for my advanced knowledge.
Have you traveled outside Ghana before?
No, no, please, I have not.
Okay. And do you know anyone in the US?
No, please, but I'm in contact with my designated school official who assists me to connect me to the international student to pay my civic fee.
Okay. Um. hmm. So, if your dad is makes like if your dad makes this much money, how come you haven't been able to travel outside Ghana before? Not even for
Yeah,
a
my father has
vacation.
my father has traveled outside Ghana before. Has been attending conferences in
No, I mean
UK,
you.
France.
I mean you. Why haven't you traveled outside Ghana before if your dad, is rich and
No,
all
my
of
father
that?
is waiting for yeah, my father is waiting for great opportunity, and then now it has come to. Then he's ready to sponsor my education to pursue this bachelor degree in business administration and management at the University of North Carolina in
You
Pembroke.
know, my biggest comments about everything that we've talked about today, you would think you have provided the right answers and all of that, and okay, let me ask you this honestly. Who prepared the answers for you? I'll tell you why I'm asking
Oh,
you that. Who prepared the answers? Or how did you prepare the answers?
yeah, I watched some of your videos, and then I did my own transcript and then send it to someone to like go through for me and then see, and then he also added some, and then after he sent it to me, and I also link it to the business aspect.
Because the reason I'm asking you this is that your answers, there are some grammatical issues and all of that, and it's like sometimes you use certain words which which don't match your level of grammar. Like, I'm not trying to, but this is more like, the bishop's point of view, looking at
Yeah,
listening to
sure.
you, will be like, how are you able to use certain words, and also at the same time, the grammar doesn't really flow well, like, that. So that's my main issue with the answers that you prepared. Some of them look good and all of that, but I'm just, because it's like you did not prepare the answers. That's what I would say. So if I were the visa officer, because they don't correspond, it's like you are trying to memorize certain things, and you are pronouncing certain words wrongly or something. And that's my main thing about what you've done. And for example, I remember you
Okay.
said annual average of Meanwhile, you're talking about your maybe annual income of, but you said annual average of
No,
all of
I
the
said
things. And
I was
some of the
saying
things,
annual profit, annual average profit. That's what I said. I don't know if you heard it.
okay, well, maybe I didn't hear it well. So yeah, fine. When I asked you about your sponsor, I did not ask you where your sister has been and whether she's back. That's not
No,
important.
so
That's not part of the question.
I think
You can.
yeah, my father sponsor her. That's why I link it to the because he
Sorry,
has spon-
you said what?
my father is the one. My father is the one who sponsored her to do her masters. That's why I link it to the aspect,
Yeah. So
sponsorship.
that's what I'm saying. If you ask a follow up question, you might struggle because you just said your father sponsored her, but you actually meant to say my father sponsored her. So like I feel like some of the things you've said, if you ask a follow up question, you might struggle. You might not see things well, and that can actually go against you. And you might think you've answered everything well, but actually, you you might you might not realize the fact that some of the things you've said and the way you express them, they don't match. There is a mismatch, and that can actually go against you because the
Okay.
resource will think you didn't prepare these answers. And
Okay, sir.
that's something that you have to work on because yeah. Uh,
Okay.
when I asked you why this program, the way you answered the question, you could have just gone straight to the point that I currently work as so and so at my father's company. I want to pursue this degree to learn. So then you can mention, like you can
Okay.
just go straight to the point. But you said so many things, and then you finally came back and said you work for your company, you work for your dad as no, but you could have just started with that and quickly gone on to talk about the skills you are going to learn from the program and then your plans after your studies. You could have just, avoided all those, like early stuff. They were
Okay.
not really important to
Okay.
your answer. So these are some of the things
Okay, sir.
that you should look out for. So yeah, I mean, me hearing from you, I feel like you didn't prepare the answers, and that can actually affect you. And if
Okay.
your dad is indeed the one sponsoring you, then fine. It kind of helps if your dad is sponsoring you. It also depends on how you justify that. And you should be clear on, I think you have some idea about what your dad does and all of that. So if you can restructure some of the answers very well, I think that can help you. So what I'm
Okay,
trying to
sir.
say is that in some sentences, you sound well. In other sentences, you don't sound well. It's like two different answers. Maybe you prepared one, then somebody prepared another one. So it's like combining the two doesn't really help. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's something you should work on. And when I asked you why the
Okay,
US, I
sir.
think the answer was actually good enough. The answer was good when I asked you why the US, which was cool. So yeah,
Okay, sir.
just try to work on some of these things and yeah. So
Okay,
I
sir.
wish you the best and take care of
Okay.
yourself. All of you, I wish you the best and I hope to hear positive news from you guys. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody with a question, I can quickly answer before I end this. I guess no one
Okay,
answered the
sir.
question. So now, yeah, go on.
Yeah, you see, actually, I'm not using the same surname with my father because he named me after his best friend who helped me way back pass away. So I'm not using her surname, but I don't know if
Well, this is something that is always difficult to prove because the visa officer will pick your DX160 and then we'll look at your name and your father's name. We'll realize that the names are not the same. So then in this case, it's up to the visa officer to ask you more questions about that or just assume that you are lying. I cannot really tell how the visa officer will interpret the mismatch. But yeah, I know in Ghana, these things, people do it. Sometimes, it happens and all of that. But I just think it's a bit strange because if I want to name my son after somebody, why don't I pick that person's name and name it and give it to my son as the first name rather than my son's surname? Like that's how it should be, not somebody's
yeah,
name as
when I
my
asked
son's
when
surname. It's strange to me
yeah when I
actually.
asked him, he said he's the one who helped me way back, and then that's what he named to maintain
No, but he should have
his
he should
name.
have given you he should have taken the person's name and given it to you as your first name. and then you can keep your dad's surname, because these are some of the problems that this can create, because it's difficult to believe that your dad gave you somebody's name as your surname. Like, it's actually difficult for me personally to believe that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, but if you're lucky, the visa officer will ask you more questions to find out about that. But that's actually, for you, that's not the main thing. The main thing is your answers and how you normally speak. There is a mismatch, and that's what you have to work on. So hopefully, hopefully you're able to get around that, and I wish you the best. Okay.
Please, can I ask a question?
Sure.
And please, so for the financial documents, can you present, is it tax something in the US? I don't know the name, but the tax document, internal revenue, the document from internal revenue. Can you present that?
I don't know exactly what document that is, but there is something, mainly when you are filing your taxes in the US, there is a document called the W2. So I don't know if that is what you have. That is the main thing we use to file taxes. It's
Okay.
details of income and all of that. So if you have that, then you can quickly mention that.
Okay.
So rather than even starting with my cousin is sponsoring me, you can actually say so the question is, who is sponsoring you? You can, if you want, just to give yourself the opportunity to be believed, you can quickly say, I have financial documents and the W2 of my cousin, who is the one going to sponsor my studies, something like that.
Okay, W2.
Yeah, I don't know if that is what you want. So what you have, so you have to make sure you check what you have before you say it.
Okay, I'll ask him. I'll ask him the name of that document.
So you can try that and see. But
aside that, he's giving me his bank statements as well.
Okay, bank statements, anybody can get bank statement. That's the thing. But if you can get other things,
so he's giving me a sponsorship letter with his office stamp, and then he's giving me that document. Is it W2? And then he's bringing the bank statement as well.
Yeah, so you can start your answer by saying you have these documents of your cousin who is the one sponsoring you, something like that, so that at least the visa officer will give you the chance to explain your finances. I'm just thinking that can actually help.
Okay.
So that's what I have for you guys, and I wish you guys the best.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Bye.
Bye.